My name is Andrew Griggs, and on April 29th, 2024, I ran 100 miles on the Atlantic City boardwalk to raise money for the Boys and Girls Club of Atlantic City. In this video, I'm going to be going over why, how, and a breakdown of my aid stations. The Atlantic City boardwalk is located in southern New Jersey. Its length is about 4.5 miles long. That green dot is where I started and set up my aid station. So to the end and back, and with the addition of Ventnor City, one loop was 11 miles. Why? Why did I run 100 miles on the boardwalk? Great question. Thank you for asking. I love ultra running. I love the lack of notoriety, lack of money, and lack of fame. These things are pretty much non-existent in the sport. And I wanted to take that a step further. I wanted to find a way to give back. I spent my summers growing up here, surfing the beaches. I knew the boards like the back of my hand. So instead of paying money for a race and receiving a medal at the end, I asked friends, family, and strangers to donate locally. And I thought of no better organization than the Boys and Girls Club of Atlantic City. Together, we raised almost $2,000 for local kids in Atlantic City. And this is how I did it. Being that I was the race director of this whole thing, I could start whenever I wanted, which is why I chose to start at around 2:30 in the morning. Even before I got into running, I always had a deep connection with the witching hours of the early morning. The quietness and the stillness was always so attractive to me. With the ocean waves and sand on my right, and the bustling casinos on my left, I made my way down the Atlantic City boardwalk. The dichotomy between my slow and steady trot down the boardwalk, with people stumbling out of the casinos, fights happening, and the deep vibrations I could feel from the nightclub was unforgettable. As the day progressed, I would finish my 11-mile loop back to my car, where I would refuel, change clothes if needed, and get myself ready for another go. One of my favorite parts about running 100 miles is being able to watch the sun rise, completely reach its peak, and then set. There's something extremely humbling about using the sun to gauge time. I knew that I wouldn't be finishing this run until it was dark out. So there's no need to check my watch when the sun's still up. I'll see how much further I have when it's dark outside. It's thoughts like this that allow me to really settle into a run like this and reach that flow state that I can maintain for hours and hours and hours. No matter how experienced you are in running 100 miles, I think you'll always hit a mental low point. So having my brother Patrick and my buddy Garrhet join me for the last 20 to 30 miles was crucial. We talked and we laughed and we finished together almost 23 hours after I started. Huge shout out to them. I would not have been able to finish without them. This is me just making sure at the end I hit 100 miles on my watch, because if my Strava read 99.9 miles, I would have had to do it all over again. I always crave an ice cold orange soda after an ultra, so that's what I have here. And the fact that I'm able to walk to my car and drive home is a huge step from my first 100 miler, where I was basically put in the trunk and driven home. This is what my aid station looked like. As I mentioned earlier, I parked it along the boardwalk, and after I did a loop of about 11 miles, I would come back and refuel. I prepped everything the day before. I cut up a whole watermelon. I had about a whole container of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, Coke, potato chips, pickles, Pedialyte, coconut water. Huge shout out to my dad for getting all the footage and riding his bike all day following me, as well as my mom, who was providing me with ice cold water and cups of Sprite. If everybody does their part, we can make a significant difference in this world.